Welcome everyone to the final round of the first season, the inaugural season of the Refined Racing League Porsche Cup. We are here at Laguna, Seca, a very, very well-known circuit, and a circuit that we all have come to love over the course of several years within the sim racing community. Coming down into this final round is going to be very, very close indeed, with the practice times looking as close as ever. And coming down into this final round, we've got several interesting corners, to say the least, going through Laguna Seca. 19 cars will be taken out on, starting this race today. In a few moments, we're going to be going through into qualifying. Main corners, obviously, to take interest in will be down into the Andretti hairpin, going through turns 2 and 3. And then coming through, obviously, the world-famous, world-renowned corkscrew complex as well. That's going to be a very interesting corner to negotiate, especially in the first opening laps. Not taken into account, though, the rest of the circuit is not an easy circuit by any stretch of the imagination. There are lots of things to take into consideration. There's fast corners, slow corners, medium corners, and pretty much everything in between. Coming down through before the corkscrew as you go up the hill, very, very fast left-hander of turn 6. That is something that drivers will have to take particular care on at the start of this race, especially if people decide that they want to try to make some moves, potentially around the outside or up the inside as well. But Laguna Seca itself, just over 3.5 kilometers. Track temp currently at 30 degrees C. It's going to be a fairly warm circuit. Not the warmest, not the hottest we've seen at Laguna Seca, especially in my time of commentating. I've certainly seen it a bit hotter. But 30 degrees track temp is still a pretty hot circuit. You can see in the top right hand corner of the race information there, the weather, the air temp itself is 24 degrees Celsius, and that obviously translates into that 30 degree track temp. A small bit of wind, but nothing major, and we do have clear skies. So we won't be seeing much difference within the weather. And again, we just need to obviously hope that that will continue to stay the same. As we go through into these final moments of practice, we are going to be giving everyone a bit of a chance just to sit on board with a couple of drivers across the circuit, just so we can get an understanding again of what's going on when it comes to this particular circuit and this tricky complex within the realms of this Porsche Cup car. Certainly not an easy car to navigate in at the best of times. So drivers will once again have to make sure they take care when they go through. The opening laps here can be quite treacherous. We all know that. We've all been in situations like this where those opening laps can be very, very tricky. And if you're not careful, very, very costly as well. Leading into this practice currently at the moment, Chris Shorter, Luke Lucchesi and Daniel Rowe are currently your top 3, with Simon Zerke not too far behind. He's actually just been pushed down by Tim Haynes into P4. So very, very close once again at the top, with around about 2 tenths separating less than a tenth actually, separating P1 and P2. Bear in mind this is practice obviously as well, so as you can see, drivers just pushing the cars slightly over the limit to understand where that is. Hopefully they don't do that in the race, of course. We're going to be running through as we go. There we are, another Porsche going slightly too wide through there. Couldn't quite see who that might be. Tim Jacobs. I think they went a little bit wide just through there. But in regards to Laguna Seca and this pairing here, 19 cars on the circuit. It's going to be certainly an interesting section out on circuit. It's not the shortest circuit we've seen. I believe that would have been Summit Point, the second round, and certainly that was a very, very interesting experience there. When it comes to Summit Point. Summit Point is not a circuit that you would normally see these to be raced on. You would normally see the MX-5s or something similar, the Skip Barbers or the Formula Vs. Porsche Cup there, it suited it though, to be fair. It did suit it. It's a fast-flowing circuit, even though it's quite short. It is fast and flowing. Look at we had Lime Rock Park as well a couple of weeks ago. That really, really worked as well. There was certainly some action there within that race, but we had some very, very good we had some very, very good action nevertheless. We're going to ride on board now with a couple of drivers. Let's see sort of what the times are. We've only got a couple of minutes left to qualify. I think we might actually wait until we get down into qualifying itself. There is a 15-minute practice and a 15-minute race as well. So drivers do have plenty of time to be able to put their practice in. There are other practices happening beforehand as well throughout the weeks leading up to the event. Just coming through. We're going to have a look, as I said, in a few moments now at the current standings, and they're just being brought up on your screen now. So as mentioned before, we do have, and there is Chris Shorter currently at that top of the timing tower by a fair chunk of time compared to, actually, Luke Lucchesi compared to himself and Daniel Rowe as well. That's actually a very, that's a decent sized gap. 0.7 of a second, a very, very decent gap as well. Again, this is practice, bear in mind. This is not the race. So we need to take that into consideration. But overall, considering we have a very, very even spread, this is one of the bigger gaps that we have seen for the moment. And then as we get through down into P4, down all the way into sort of P9, P10, that's where those gaps once again start to contract a little bit, start to get a little bit shorter. 45 seconds left of practice, and then we'll be going into qualifying, of which again 15 minutes as we have normally seen before. There's nothing that has changed about that. I was actually chatting with the organisers a little while ago. We're obviously already looking into season, what we're going to be, some changes going into season 2, what's going to be happening within season 2, because a lot's going to be happening through there, bear in mind. It's certainly not going to be, there are things that everyone has learnt, there are things that we're going to be moving forward with. So overall, we are going to be seeing a big change when it comes to the next season. However, at the same time, certainly not going to be, it's going to retain its roots of being a friendly, fun community, which again is what we have seen throughout these 8 weeks and these 4 rounds, I should say. Practice has indeed concluded. Going over to qualifying now, we can see in the top left of your screen, 15 minutes left of qualifying here. And then we'll be going through into the all-important race for this final round. Who's going to be out on track to start? We're seeing everyone's scrambling out, trying to get some times on the board. But there we go. Summer Zerke is one of the first people out. One of the first 4, in fact, that's come out. But again, you can see everyone starting to trickle out now. There's a gaggle of cars there that's just gone by. Now, what you want to do here, you want to get a banker lap in. You get a banker lap when you've got some clean, or at least clean-ish air. Once you've got that time, once you've got that pace as a sort of foundation, then you can start pushing forward a little bit more. And that's when you can start to take some risks. It's always preferred, or at least it is for me anyway, to be able to get some banker laps in to start with. Then you can start to focus on the actual sort of the fast laps themselves. That can come at a later date. It doesn't need to happen straight away. It really doesn't. Coming down once again into this final third of the complex. The final third of this fantastic circuit. So this is just the outlap, bear in mind. So you've got a chance to warm your tyres a little bit. Tyres will last. They will continue to last. I imagine there'll be a 3-lap run for everyone here. It will be one outlap and then 2 flyers. You are allowed to escape back to pit lane. So with that 1 lap, those 2 flyers again, that will certainly give drivers at least 3 or 4 runs, depending on when they do exit. I think 3 runs, but possibly 4 runs will be the sweet spot. It'll be a little bit tricky to do the 5 runs. I think that will certainly be something that is going to be tricky to manage. But again, we'll see. Never say never. We'll have to see. We'll have to wait and see how many runs people do manage. Elroy Oliver hasn't actually left the pit lane yet. Neither has Du Gerber. So, a couple of drivers and Jason Gibson wants to get... Whoa, there we go. That was Simon Zerke having a bit of a moment there we just saw. In fact, we'll see if we can get possibly a replay of that just to see what happened from a slightly different camera angle here. In fact, here it is. So, yeah, just that little compression of the curb you see as the car compresses, bottoms out at the bottom, obviously at the bottom, as opposed to bottoming out at the top. Nope. Bottoms out, and the car just can't quite keep its composure. Couple that with a bit of throttle, certainly does not end well. First times are coming in now. Ryan Ottens sets the standings currently, sets the benchmark for 124.53. Chris Shorter immediately removes Ottens off of the top spot with 123.06. Not really as many times as I thought on the board early doors. There we go. Yasamai goes in. There we go. Times are now starting to come in now. So Yasamai with the currently a 125.46. Yanaman Paris 125.62. It's getting that little. That's the closest gap we currently have so far. But again, long way to go yet. Bear in mind these are simply the biggest. The first times. Everyone's finding their feet at the moment. Like I said, these are where the bankers come in. Obviously, Chris Shorter feels he's got some confidence in the car. He's able to push it. But not all drivers will be the same, at least for the moment. Anyway, Nagel, look how close that is in between 4th and 6th. You got the Sarai with a 24.461. You got a 5.21, then a 6.20. So once again, the midfield already is looking to be very, very close. I'm sure it will get closer as the race and as qualifying progresses. Once again, we'll have to see. That was someone that's gone off. That was Marius Pretorius that had a moment going into the last corner there. Tian Jacobs, number 24, Team Tryhard Racing Amcar. Through a little bit more wiggle there. Manages to keep it in check, though. Didn't quite use all of the track going through into the second to last corner. Manages, though, to keep the car. Much better use of the circuit in the very, very classic pink pig livery there that you can see. Here's Tian Jacobs. Is he going to improve this lap? He goes across the line. Does he improve? He does indeed. Only by position, though, although that's still certainly a time that has been... the time has pushed him up by one position. And unfortunately... Stephen Koenig just goes into P8 and puts Tian Jacobs back down into P10. So unfortunately, Tian Jacobs is going to have to go through all that process again. Johan Grobler has actually just gone into P7. Atti Nagel's moved himself up into P4. So this is where the times, these are where the times are starting to really start to, they're starting to fly down here. Interestingly enough, Ryan Ottens has gone up into P2. Daniel Rowe is in P3. And the gap between those two, once again, very, very close. A tenth of a second separates Ottens and Rowe. And is that going to stay the same? Well, we simply don't know. Here comes Paul Gerber, the number 51. Comes across the line for another lap. Is this one going to be on the cars? No time currently set for Gerber. Yes, it is, and it's good enough for P3. Still 1.2 seconds off Chris Shorter, but P3 nevertheless. Luke Lucchesi, another person to watch out for here in the 993, the classic Lego car. Certainly a car you're never going to miss in a hurry, is it? This is a time that we want to keep an eye out for. These are the times, these are the sectors. There's nothing that's blisteringly fast at the moment. It's certainly competitive, but it's nothing. It's not. We're not seeing an array of purple best sectors like we were doing, and we have done previously in rounds. Obviously, one of them being Lime Park a couple of weekends ago. Massive pace through there. Once again, no time currently on the board for Luke Lucchesi. Still got halfway to go though, so we've got a little bit of time, before the before this session does start to run. Johan Grubler goes in P2. Look at that. That certainly brought that time down. It's still over a second between Rubler and Shorter. So once again, Chris Shorter is just absolutely flying. It's actually bested his time as well with that 123.06. He's gone even faster by the looks. Daniel Rowe goes back up into P4. I believe that is, yes. So Paul Gerber and Daniel Rowe have both got exactly the same times. Have a look at the delta on the left. And actually have a look at the time on the left as well. 124.244 for both Rowe and Gerber. So you can't really get any closer than that. So again, this midfield is going to certainly be an interesting race. It's going to develop very, very nicely. Jesse goes a little bit wide, going down into the second to last corner. That would have cost him a little bit of time. Probably half a tenth. And with the pace that Chris has got, that half a tenth can make all the difference. Rounds. Final corner coming down to the start-finish line once more. This time does go in, and that is a time that will be sitting Jesse in 4th position. And there was a couple of areas there where I could see there was all, easily a tenth and a half lost through there. So I feel that with the right lap, there's certainly a high 23 for Lechesi. That's someone that's gone off into the barrier. That was a pretty hard hit. I believe that was Tian Jacobs. It was. Tian Jacobs with a very, very hard hit. Yeah, Samai, the number 7. Still yet to best his time of 125.04. Is this going to be a pace improvement? Nope, currently not. Here is Tim Haynes. Pretty high up in practice. Still, again, hasn't set a lap on the board yet. Interesting enough, it obviously seems to be that the off-tracks are affecting everyone a little bit here. They can't seem to find a rhythm, which is very, very hard to do, especially when you get in a car that's, while it is certainly modern and certainly gives you the a nice, it's a very, very fast car. Make no mistake in this Porsche. The brakes do have they left to be desired, shall we say. The brakes certainly aren't. It's going a little bit too wide there for Tim Haynes. You saw that on the brakes there. Car just wasn't really all comfortable with hunkering down and slowing down. So Tim Haynes would have lost himself a tenth and a half there. He has gone up into P8 though. So his last lap, 124.61, has put him up in that up into P8. I've just had a quick look. Johan Grubler and Ryan Ottens, the gap separating both of those drivers is a thousandth of a second. One singular thousandth of a second. So between them and Rowan Gerber, that's very, very close indeed. And again, for the reminder, for those of you, anything on the left-hand side of the delta, anything that's in orange is less than half a second. Anything that's in yellow is between half a second and a second. And anything that's over a second is white. So you can see only a few drivers, one of them being Shorter and Hubler, only actually being one of the main gaps that is over a second. Tim Haynes went wide into the court. He locked up going into the corkscrew, so this lap is going to be discounted for him. He does have time to jump back into the pits. Now, personally, it's what I would do. Even though he had that lockup, that still puts him in P4. So he's got a couple of tenths on the table as well, definitely. Chris Shorter has just gone through and set another fastest lap. He is almost in the 22s. So just to rub it in even more, he goes and pulls another 400ths out. Now, that's quick by any stretch of the imagination. You cannot argue with that. That is very, very fast indeed. The question is there going to be any more improvements? We shall have to wait and see. Andrew Barber in the 777. You're seeing a couple of people over the left-hand side now. We're seeing a couple of drivers now coming into the pits. They're going for their final runs here. Obviously, they're going to want to make sure that they put in the best times possible. If anything, this is going to be where the times are going to be the fastest, just simply because of the track that has rubbered in. Down through turn 6 does go. Oh, there's a little bit of dust kicked up there. Tim Haynes, you see on your left-hand side, look at that. Top left-hand corner of the timing tower. He has just got up into P2. So very nearly into those 23s, but no one other than Chris Yorta is able to touch the 23s, let alone get into a position where, they're in that sort of mid to low field. Again, I'm just staggered at what Shorter was able to do. But either way, Tim Haynes goes up into second place. All we need to do now is wait for these final few minutes. Minute and a half left to go here. So Andrew Barber does improve on his time with a 126.8. Goes a little bit wide down into turn 2 into the Andretti hairpin. That certainly would have cost him. Anyone that wants to come out of the pits now, unfortunately, that is it. So Johan Grubler will not be able to make another lap looking at the times. If he does, it will have to be very, very close, but I just don't think he's going to do it. Still saying he's on pit exit. Unfortunately, that may very well be it for Grubler. And we'll have to see how the next couple of corners go for him. He may make it as a possibility. May very well make it. The people who won't be making another lap: Ryan Otten, Simon Zerke, Jan-Man Paris, Elroy Oliver, Thynos Botha, Pretorius, Koenig, Barber, Gibson. Lots of people are giving up on their last lap, thinking, do you know what? Happy with the positions they're in. Well, regardless whether they're happy or not, they just think, let's focus on the race and move on to what that is going to be. Another 10 seconds left to go. And then we're having a quick break. And then we'll be right back with the gridding up for the final round here. Luke Luchesi, there we go. Luke Luchesi, half a second now away from Chris Yorta. So now the only other person currently in. The last lap that he was able to do, and he manages to go through. That is qualifying done and dusted for everyone. A couple more drivers still waiting to finish their laps. While we are doing that, though, we are going to go through a very, very quick break. We're going to then come back and then look at the final grid results here and who is going to be leading us down into the Andretti hairpin for the final race of the season. Make sure you stick around, don't go anywhere.
Basic human rights: water, electricity, healthcare, and education. But what if we don't have access to affordable infrastructure to support these basic rights? We are looking for a change, a better future for all. But without education and access to information, change can never happen. Welcome to IO Verified. We're not looking to just uplift and inspire our staff, but to empower and enrich the lives of communities, allowing small businesses to grow and build a future for themselves and enrich the lives of those around them. Join us today. Help us be the change and inspire the future.
Welcome back, everyone, to the final round. Just that short break from one of our sponsors, IQ Media. Everyone has now finished. Qualifying is over. And we are going to be giving you a rundown of the full grid. Luke Luchesi did actually manage to go a little bit quicker. He's still in P2, but he has brought the time down from half a second to 0.3 of a second. So that time is coming down. So Chris Yorta may not have all of it his way going into this race, especially if Luchesi gets a good start, for example. Failing that as well, Tim Haynes. Tim Haynes may get a very, very good start as well. The top four have an equal chance in a way of leading everyone down into the hairpin for the first time. Here is your grid, though, for that full confirmation. Chris Shorter in first, Luke Duchessis, Tim Haynes, Johan Krubler, Ryan Ottens, Paul Gerber, Daniel Rowe, Atti Nagel, Simon Zerke, Yanniman Ruiz are your first round of drivers, the top 10. Going down into 11th onwards, Stu Gerber, Yaz Samai. And then we have Elroy Oliver, Thinus Botha, Marius Pretorius, Stephen Kernick, Andrew Barber, Jason Gibson, and Tien Jacobs in P19. No Jeff Hancocks today. Unfortunately, he had a small issue with his pedals. So he purchased some brand new Huizenveld Sprints. But unfortunately, they had a small little issue. So he will be out of action for this race. But we look forward to seeing him back in... we do look forward to seeing him back in Season 2. There are your drivers on the grid getting ready. A couple more drivers yet to go onto the circuit. And then we will be moving forward into this half an hour race. Before we get started, a big thank you again to all of our sponsors that have come on board for this event. Please make sure that you like and follow the channels and all the socials, etc., to keep up to date, especially on Season 2, that's going to be coming very, very soon indeed. Not too much longer, and then we will be getting underway. Here we go, the lights are on. Revs are going to build up in a few moments. In fact, here come the lights. Who is going to get the job? Who is going to get the run? And away we go. That was a massively poor start. Look what happened to Lechesi. He just spun his wheels. He sat there, didn't go anywhere. Massive, massive disappointment there for Lechesi. He had a very, very good start. Look at what's happening here. Tim Haynes is going to go possibly round the outside. I thought he's going to have a bit of a look. Decides against it, though. Otten versus Grubler. That's going to be a battle that's not going to go too well. All in all, everyone manages to get cleanly Touchwood going through down into the Andretti Eppin for the first time. Daniel Rowe side by side with Grubler. Still side by side going down into turn 4. And I believe it is going to be, yes, Rowe manages to secure that position. Big, big slide there for Grubler. Manages to keep it in check, though, but that could cost him a position to Zerke. Is it going to cost him a position to Zerke? No, it is not. I thought it was, but manages to keep it all going. Chris Shorter has just checked out at this point. He's a second up the road already. Absolutely gone. See you later. Off he goes. What's happening with Lechesi? You can see the Lego car on the left-hand side. Now on your right-hand side of the screen. Going down into corkscrew for the first time. Single file. A very wise decision there. Very, very close still once again. I thought he was going to have a little bit of a look up the inside, but decides against it, though. Is there going to be any more movements? There may very well be, actually, thinking about it. There's going to be a little bit of a lunge going into the last corner. No, there's not. So the next natural place that you would imagine going into turn 1. Again, Chris Shorter, 1.7 seconds up the road. The only person that was anywhere near challenging was Luke Duchesne. He's already down in P8. What's Duchesne going to do? Is it going to be coming down into turn 1? Really drives the car in, but unfortunately unable to make anything stick. What's happened to... Oh, big accident at the front. What had happened there? Oh, there's going to be a replay. That's certainly shaken up the midfield. I wonder, two cars unable to fit in the same position. One would imagine that's Yaz Samar on the right-hand side of your screen there. With the car that's certainly seen better days. He'll have to be nursing that back round to the pit lane. Though he's managing to keep it going at the moment. I thought that was going to be something that he'd have to retire, but that is certainly not the case. Elroy Oliver trying to make it. There goes Yaz Samai. I think, I don't know what happened there with his brakes or something, but they didn't seem to want to work. As we go through to corkscrew for second time of asking. 20 laps in this race. Chris Shorter has extended his lead to 2.5 seconds, which is an absolute incredible amount. We saw a similar thing with at Lime Rock Park a couple of weeks ago. Luke Duchesne in all of this has actually managed to go up to P5. There is Duchesne there. So in all honesty, I thought the positions that he would have had, I mean, he's gained a lot of position, not a lot of time. Let's have a look at what happened at the start of the race. So this is on board with Grubler. So coming through down, is it just a bit of a... Oh, just. Car goes and it just all checks up. All checks up. Where is Lucchesi? I don't even see Lucchesi. There's Lucchesi, just goes right through the middle of it. What's just gone? Well, thank you very much. And off he goes. But, yeah, that was something that Gruber just had a little bit of a... Just an over-rotation of the car. You just see it there. Like, the car looked fine. It looked absolutely perfect. And then all of a sudden, car decides, nope, actually, I don't want to go through turn one here. Let's have another quick look going through down into the roll bar cam. See, again, goes into the corner. There's a tiny, tiny bit. I wonder as well, potentially, if a little bit spooked by the car ahead. That would certainly... it's certainly something you've got to get, you know, being able to look through and look ahead. Although I've certainly been in a position where I've been sucked into looking at someone spinning in front of me and then reacting to it immediately. The problem is that doesn't tend to work all that well. In all honesty, if that does happen, then what tends to happen after that, to be perfectly honest, is the car just you end up following what the cars ahead of you is doing, and if the car ahead has a moment and crashes, then it tends to unfortunately have a similar effect for you. Something happened to Elroy Oliver. What on earth was that? I think we've got a replay of it here. Yes, we are. I'll tell you what that was. That would have been touching the grass on the outside, touching the dirt on the outside. That's what that would have been. I've done that countless times myself. I mean, again, really not much more that Oliver could have done then. He manages to rejoins the track safely, does exactly what he needs to do with regards to that track rejoin. So from that perspective, nothing really more that Oliver could have done. Just unfortunate of what did happen. Linus Botha in the 722, currently being pressured quite heavily by the likes of, that is Simon Zerke just behind. So that gap really coming down. You see all the gravel kicked up as well by the previous cars. That will have a little bit of an effect on the cars, not too much though. A slightly slower line from both there. You see how much the Zerke catched up, and that was an interesting line actually. It's in some corners, especially with a corner like that, going down into that sort of like left, you've got a bit of camber. You've got a bit of camber over on the right hand side. Now the problem is if you touch that camber and you get sucked into that camber, the car wants to go wide. It doesn't want to then turn into the corner. So that was one of the things that we saw there. I'll tell you what, Simon is all over the back. Is it going to be a move? Is it going to be... Oh, no! Contact there. Replay definitely needed. Andrew Barber's actually has had a moment also. I want to see this again in another camera angle. So, coming down into turn into turn 3 this is. That's a bit of a tricky one. It's certainly a bit of a tricky one. Let's have a look at it from the roll bar of Zerke if we can. So it's certainly late. Oh, that's a tricky one there. Very, very tricky one. Certainly there was more room that could have been given. However, at the same time, I can understand why the door was starting to get closed off a little bit. It was quite a sizable lunge, but fair play because Zerke would have stopped that. That would have been... wouldn't have run wide. He would have kept his stops on the apex. Maybe he would have gone a tiny bit wide, but nothing that you wouldn't do in any other circumstance such as that. It wasn't a lunge that was never going to be made, put it that way. So it's happened to Jason Gibson. Is it going to be a carbon copy of what we've seen before? I have a feeling it is. And nothing that I can... Yeah, nothing I can see at the moment. Might see if we can get a replay of that in a bit. What's happening a little bit further in the midfield? Maris Pistorius is now battling with Simon Zerke. In the Pikachu Pokemon livery. I'll tell you what, some of Zerk's going to have a bit of a go at it, or I thought he was going to have a go. I thought he was going to have a go going down into turn 6. That's a brave move. You don't normally make a move like that. That's a very, very brave move. Manages to cut it off, though. We see Pretorius cutting off the inside a little bit. A tiny bit of a brake locker. That will cost him. That will cost him going through the corkscrew, and it has not... It hasn't that much, in all honesty. I thought that was going to be quite a sizable time loss there for Pretorius. That's going to be a time loss, though. Whoa! Big moment going over the sausage curb on the inside. And now, again, manages to keep it all in check. I tell you what, as saves go, that was certainly up there. That was a very, very impressive save. Very impressive save. So, Pretorius keeping the car, and getting the car back onto the tarmac, albeit just about, but with minimal fuss. Minimal time loss for going that wide. It's a tricky corner to get back on track, that is. So, Pretorius did manage that well, certainly. 10 minutes have already gone, or near enough have already gone, in this race. And Daniel Rose having a bit of a battle up ahead. There's actually a three-way battle going on up ahead. We can match onto that. Here we go. So a three-way battle. This is the battle for P3, this is. I'll bring out the battle box. Yeah, so Tim Haynes is a little ways up the road now. He's about 2.9 seconds. Again, Tim Haynes just running his own race, really. There's nothing more he needs to do at this point. Much like we've seen before, I reckon Luke Chessie's certainly got a chance of a podium, obviously, because he's just behind Daniel Rowe. Daniel Rowe's gone wide. Daniel Rowe's gone very, very wide. That's just invited Lechesi and just gone, well, thank you very much. I certainly won't say no, and he hasn't done. Capitalised on that absolutely perfectly. Next person that Lechesi's got to worry about is teammate of Rowe, which is Ottens. And then after that, 2.5 seconds up the road. Put it in perspective, last lap time-wise, pretty identical when it comes to Rowe, Ottens and Haynes. A very, very impressive time there of a 1:24.01 for Luke Lechesi. He's actually being hassled a little bit as well because Ottens, he's gone straight out the inside. He has indeed. That is a move at turn 6. Wow, that's a tricky move to make, but he manages to get it sorted and in check. Is there going to be a... Oh, there's a bit of team battling going on here as well. Daniel Rowe tried to send it right up the around the outside of corkscrew as well on teammate Ottens, but nothing came about of it. This is played right into the hands of Lechesi, though, because teammates are now battling. So he doesn't really need to do anything, in all honesty. He just lets the guys battle behind, and he can sail off into the distance, which he already has done so. Is there going to be a potential lunge? There might be for Daniel. No, he's learnt his lesson from last lap. He has not gone wide this time. So keep an eye on the gap. This is one of the gaps to look out for. Keep an eye on the gaps between Tim Haynes and Luke Lechesi. Yeah, that gap is 2.6 seconds at the moment. It's coming down what seems to be quite quickly. This may not be too much longer. And then we will see. We're going to see Luke Lechesi have a really, really good old battle with Tim Haynes. Now, bear in mind again, this is where Lechesi started. He started in second. Currently sitting in P3, so all things considered, cannot complain of that at all. A couple of replays here to look for you. Tian Jacobs goes a little bit, actually goes very wide. Does he hit the wall? He does brush it, but it's only the tyre barrier, so that probably wouldn't have given him that much damage in all honesty. What happened to Marius Pretorius? This was going down into Corks. Oh, good save. Good save there for Pretorius. Again, always a tricky one when you go off wide something like that onto the dirt. Minimal grip, hard to keep the car in check. And then there's quite a sizable lock-up for Koenig as well. Once again, that would have cost him... that certainly would have cost him some positions. In terms of... if he'd have done that at the start of the race or something like that, that would have cost him several positions. Up at the front... Or near the front, I should say. Battle for P4 still raging on. Hero, send up the inside once again. Whoa, that was close. That was very close. And having a look at this, Ryan Ottens is just sort of sitting there just really... If anything, he's not having to do all that much to keep up with these two. And you can see that. You can see what's happening. You can see why. Because those two, both Daniel Rowe and Johan Grubler, are battling. Ryan Ottens doesn't need to at this point. There's no point in battling here. Because all you're going to do is you're going to end up slowing yourself and slowing everyone else down, which is exactly what has happened between the 15 and the 43. Is all of a sudden, they've started to battle both of them. And then before you know it, you've got another car in the mix. Yeah, this could certainly go very, very interesting indeed. Car numbers over on the left-hand side, so the 43 being Daniel Rowe, the number 15 being Krubler. Very, very tight line once again, a little bit wide there from Daniel Rowe. That has cost him. That has cost him a couple of tenths of a second again. It's amazing. All those little mistakes there. Seen that a couple of times now from Daniel. And the car won't get easier to drive. It's only going to get worse. When you start taking the fuel off and when your tyres starting to get a bit worn down, it's... You lose a little bit of traction. You remove traction from the car. And especially put the power down, it can become very skittish very, very quickly. Keeps it all in check in the mode. Although it's trying to drop off a little bit, is Ottens. Potentially, you know, biding his time. There's no point racing if you're... But actually, as well, Ottens is in a good position here. He doesn't really need to do all that much. Look at Jesse. He's actually gone... He has gone up round... That's not round the outside, surely. Has he just made a move on Tim Haynes? He certainly has done on the paper, but I want to see how that has... done it. Daniel Rowe has actually had a crash as well. What's happened to Daniel Rowe? That must have happened literally as we'd come back on board with Lechesi. Let's have a look at this overtake first. I wonder why. It looked like Tim Haynes is going slow for some reason. I'm not too sure what happened there. Possibly a slightly worse exit down out of the last corner, perhaps. I'm not entirely sure what that was. Either way, though, little Jesse is back up into P2, the position that he started. And what that does mean is now your top 5 are back in the same positions that they started. Let's have a look at what happened to Daniel Rowe here. Another replay. Could it be just a fraction too much curve, fraction too much dirt? Or as we get on the throttle, does the car road say, yep, there we go. Onto the throttle. Bit too much steering lock as well, I noticed there. Fraction too much. And away he goes back once again. And oh my goodness, what on earth happened there? What on earth happened there? That was... Who was even... That was Yanaman Paris. Was that Elroy Oliver that had a... Remember that we've got a lot of replays to look at here actually that are coming up. So Andrew Barber goes... That's actually a separate one. This is Andrew Barber going deep into turn 2. And then here we go. This is what happened to Yanaman Paris. Little bit... Oh yeah, okay. So way too fast through the left. Possibly a little bit late on the turn as well. Is there going to be some form of defense? There is going to be some form of defense. And it's last of the late... Whoa! Last of the late breakers. And unfortunately, that was Elroy Oliver that got late onto the brakes there. Whether he was looking in his rearview mirror... I know I've done that before. I've looked at my rearview mirror and then I've looked and gone... I've looked back down to sort of where I'm going and I think, oh, hang on a minute, I should probably brake here. But by that point, it's already too late. doesn't make too much of a difference in... It certainly makes a difference, but not as much in GT3 cars or open wheel cars there. So, have to see how... But yeah, that was certainly a big one. Yeah, it's the faster the car goes, obviously the difficult the car will be. So if you you know, if you're not concentrating on where you're going, again, if you're looking in the rearview mirrors, then you start looking down, start looking ahead, and looking elsewhere, and then all of a sudden you look back down again. You can travel a sizable amount of distance. Doesn't help as well. It's not too bad, like I said, in a GT3 or a downforce car when you can still really hunker on the brakes. But these Porsches here, their brakes are, compared to how powerful they are, they're pretty terrible. You have got to be a little bit careful. Pretorius has had another incident. I wonder what's happened. Again, we're going to have another replay coming up. Elroy did actually pass, and that would be straight. That was that could have been interesting, couldn't it? But let's see if we can get a replay on that from the roll bar. I'd be interested to see what that was like from the roll bar of Elroy. Here we go. So, out of shots, comes in shots. I mean, to be honest, tiny little lift, that's all he needed. That's all that Elroy wanted to give there. Didn't drop us anywhere near the time that I thought he would, if I'm honest. And again, when you're in the heat of the moment, you can commit, I suppose, a little bit more. To me, felt like we'd been backed off for ages. But manages to keep it in check, though. So, very well done. Indeed. That is Pretorius. Is that Pretorius off again? It is Pretorius off again. I wonder if that was because of slightly warmer tyres after that previous spin. Perhaps. Tyres may have still been a little bit warm. Let's have a look. Okay, actually, no, sorry. That was the original. That was the original incident. And then we have this going into the last corner. It just goes a little bit wide. Does the car spin around? No, it doesn't. Manages to keep the car going. Manages to keep the car going. And then we do have one final one here. Ah, yes. Now, what this happened, this is a combination of lots and lots of things. One of the main combinations, actually, with this is it's a snowball effect. Your tyres, if you go a little bit wider, you have a spin, all of a sudden your tyres are very hot. If you were to then go through and you're trying to push the car at the same sort of pace, your tyres get even hotter, which means they lose even more grip, which means you'll be even slower. And then you'll try and push the car harder, and etc., etc. And it really is it's a spiral that you've got to be careful of. One thing affects something else, and it snowballs so quickly if you're not careful. Daniel Rose had another incident. What has happened here? This is Daniel Rowe coming down into Corkscrew. A bit too deep on the brakes, perhaps. Oh, interestingly enough, the rear decides to step out that time. And then puts it into the front of the barrier for good. Whoa, measure. Ho, that was close. Wow. I'll tell you what, Daniel Rowe certainly keeping us on our toes here. That was very close. Very good. Manages to keep the guy going. Let's have a look at Chris Shorter. Here is Chris. I mean, doesn't really have much time, is he, in the spot? Is he going to care? I don't really think he is, if I'm honest. The number 33 has just been cracking on, really. And I think if we can, we're going to let you ride on board with a lap of Laguna Seca here as well. So bear with us. We'll be back in a second. I'm just going to let you listen to Chris Shorter round a lap of Laguna Seca. There we are, a couple of laps in for Chris Shorter. Absolutely fantastic stuff indeed. Going back now to the race at hand. A couple of battles going on here. The calm before the storm. It's all kicking off. Only got a couple of laps remaining left to go here. Already on lap number 18. To Gerber and Daniel Rowe having a bit of a battle. Daniel Rowe having got past Gerber, but this battle has been going on for a couple of laps. A little bit wide. Well, a little bit of grass kicked up there for Daniel Rowe, but it's not going to matter to him all that much. Jason Gibson's had a bit of a spin somewhere. Where is that? It's coming down onto the last corner. Could that be a little bit of curb exit? Oh, no, actually dropped the curb on the inside. Interesting. So a bit of a lock-up. Sends the car around. So that was what? It was a lock-up on the entry. Interesting enough. There's Jason Gibbs. He is going again, which is the main thing. Yeah, no, Paris, this is actually one of the closest gaps now that we've got. Or speaking of which, we've got another quick replay to have a look at. Here is Thydus Botha. 722 again coming into the last corner. Troublesome corner for this. Is it same again? Yeah, tiny bit of a lock up. Oh. Does the right thing. Holds the car where he should. Just holds the brake. That stalls any momentum that it's going to carry further forwards, backwards, side to side, whatever it may be. So you see that the weight transfers, it sort of comes around to the rear, and then all of a sudden, that would have been probably quite a fast release of the brakes, and then getting onto that throttle quite quickly, again, that can cause some issues as well. White flag has been raised. One more lap to go for Chris Shorter. And then we will be seeing him come across the line, albeit in P1 still. That is Yasamai, still going through. He hasn't repaired his car, interestingly enough. But he's still going, so fair play. His car's certainly seen better days, but he is still on the move. So I see, you know, all things considered, still in P12. Certainly can't argue with that. Top 5, though, position-wise, they have not changed. So your top 5 that you saw on the grid are still your top 5. Shorter, Lucchesi, Haynes, Grubler, and Ottens. Now, considering that Lucchesi had that very, very poor start, manages to keep it all in check, and he managed to get back up. You know, he's back up into P2 where he started. So, again, certainly can't argue with that. Man of the hour, though, Chris Shorter. Just relentless pace. Absolutely relentless. No lap, I don't think, maybe barred the odd occasional traffic, was a 24 at all. Absolutely astounding. One more corner to go for Chris Shorter, and he will be then taking the all-important checkered flag as he rounds the last corner. Here he comes onto that start-finish straight. And there we go. Chris Shorter taking the round 4 win here at Laguna Seca. What a drive indeed. And Luke Lucchesi is going to come across the line 17 seconds behind. Luke Lucchesi, not a slow driver by any stretch of the imagination. This is a very, very impressive comeback for Lucchesi, considering of how short the race distance was. Then a couple of battles still going on a bit further down. We will have the full race results for you coming up in a few moments' time. We've got a couple of battles still going on. Nothing really happening. This is a battle, though. This is a big, big battle. Is it going to be Gerber versus Paris? Is going into corkscrew. Who goes a bit wide? Someone's got a little bit wide, and that was Paris. Oh, no, it's a contact. There's contact. Paul Gerber gets stuffed in the wall. Oh, dearie me. That's not certainly gone well. That's really not gone well. Oh, dear. That's the last thing you want to do, isn't it? I wonder if we can get replay of that. We might struggle to get a replay of that one, actually. In fact, no, here it is. Oh, a bit naughty there by Pruis. But, you know, again, little bits of battling at the end there, and some interesting manoeuvres of cars. But overall, you know, very, very clean race. First lap, very clean. Going into corkscrew again, very, very clean. So, you know, all in all, certainly can't complain. Certainly can't complain with that at all. And that is it. That is the race over. That is the race all done and dusted. Full results coming up on your screen in a few moments' time. But what a very, very good race. And what a very, very good inaugural season for the Refined Racing League. So there is your official standings. Chris Shorter, Luke Lucchesi, Tim Haynes take your top 3. Johan Grubler in 4th, Ryan Ottens 5th, Atty Nagel 6th, Simon Zerke in 7th, Daniel Rowe in P8, Du Gerber in 9th, with Yannick Paris rounding out the top 10. Elroy Oliver in 11th, yes, Samai in 12th after that recovery and still continuing on with that massively damaged car, so fair play. Paul Gerber in 13th, Stephen Koenig 14th, Jason Gibson 15th, Andrew Barber in P16, Thanos Botha in 17th, Chen Jacobs in P18, and then we have Marius Pretorius, 5 laps down, unfortunately, for Pokemon Racing in P19. That is your full standing grid, and that is your full official results here. Now we're going to have a chat, I believe, to a couple of drivers in but a few moments' time. And in fact, one of the drivers that we are going to be having a chat to is our 3rd place is Tim Haynes. And in fact, we do have him in the commentary booth now. Tim, can you hear me? I believe you may be able to... Can't quite hear Tim at the moment. We'll see if we can get him in a few moments for you. But, we do have Mr. Haynes here. If I just bring him in on the stream. And there we go. Tim, can you hear me?
I can, yes.
Good. Well done. Well, congratulations on P3. I know you were having at one point, doing really well in P2. But Luke Luchesi just had some incredible pace. How was I noticed as well? Was it? Was there a bit of a moment we had going onto the straight? Because I noticed that the closing speed when Luchesi overtook was quite high.
Yeah, to be honest, I just let him pass because I knew he was faster, and I was just trying to have a safe race.
No, that's fair enough.
I had a bit of a tough evening with hardware as well, so I only managed to just get on the server sort of 5 minutes before the race started. I had a lot of problems tonight.
Well, I think all things considered, considering you were able to come back, with only that initial bit of practice, obviously, excluding any other practice you had previously, but it's never nice to, I've been in that situation before where you have to jump in and sort of learn your way as you race. It's certainly not ideal. But all things considered, certainly very, very impressive.
No, thank you so much. Yeah, I definitely didn't have the pace of Chris and Luke tonight, that was for sure. But I'm just glad I managed to actually get on and do the race. It was good fun.
Absolutely. No, certainly so. Very, very good stuff indeed. But yeah, Tim, thank you very much again for being a part of this series. It was very, very enjoyable. And I'm hoping we're going to see you in Season 2 as well.
Yep, I hope so too. Yep, no, it's been great. Thank you for your commentary as well. It's been excellent.
No problem at all. No problem at all. Glad I could help.
Thanks, Daniel.
Brilliant. Take care, Tim.
Yes, thanks.
Take care. Bye-bye. Okay, there we go. So we are going to now have a chat with, if we can, we do have Pantera in. Pantera, can you hear us?
Yes. Luke.
How are you doing, Luke? You okay?
I'm good, and yourself?
Yeah, not too bad, thanks. Not too bad. First off, what happened at the start?
I was in neutral instead of first gear.
That's not certainly ideal, is it? That's certainly
definitely not.
So I can imagine, obviously, clutch drops, hit the limiter, and went, "Oh, hang on a minute."
Yeah, exactly. So from there, it was just trying to get back to the front, and then there was an accident in turn 1, so I hit those guys. So I think I had a little bit of damage on the right front, but I mean, at least the car still drove straight, which is the main thing.
Yeah, I think, as you say, all in all, being able to have the car sort of driving straight and true is certainly what you want. Season 2, what's Season 2 looking like for you? Is that what we're going to see you on board as well?
And now for sure I'll be there.
Perfect stuff. Really looking forward to it. Again, from yourself, Luke, what was a highlight for you this particular season?
Well, it wasn't too long. I missed the first race. So I realistically only did 3 races. But yeah, it's been good fun. I love this car, so it's nice racing it with a bunch of guys who can drive. Where you can actually have a nice race.
Absolutely. No, it's been a very, very enjoyable lead to commentate on. But no, like I said, really, really looking forward to seeing you again in Season 2. And anyone you'd like to give a quick shout out to before we wrap up?
Not really. I don't know who
Fair
my
enough.
friends are watching, but yeah,
No.
whoever's watching, hello.
There we go. Thank you very much, Luke. Really appreciate it, and I'll catch up with you soon.
Thank you. Cheers.
Take care. And last but not least, man of the hour, Chris. Wow, what a dominant drive that was.
Cheers, thanks very much. That was quite a lot of fun.
Well, I mean, I probably wouldn't bother watching the broadcast back because you only had about 2 minutes worth of screen time, I think, and that was mainly on the grid. Apart from that, you just sort of drove onto the distance. Does this track just work for you? Because it seems to.
To be honest, I'm not sure. It is a car that I really love driving. It's so much fun to drive this car. I didn't do much prep at all before coming in here, so I was a bit surprised at the pace. But yeah, nevertheless, it was good fun, and it's always a good time when you get to drive a Porsche.
It certainly is. Certainly is. No, very, 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 very true. Again, one of my favorite cars to drive as well. I really enjoy driving this car also. So, no, really, really good stuff. And again, I've said to everyone else, from yourself as well. Are we looking into rounds? Are we looking into season 2 as well?
Yeah, definitely. Unfortunately, missed quite a few rounds this season. I had a few other commitments that I had to attend to, but yeah, I'm looking forward to season 2. The schedule looks really good, so there's some nice tracks on there, which should hopefully lead to some good racing. I mean, tonight I also, at one stage, I wanted to sort of drop back and drive with Tim and Luke, but I also didn't want to get involved in the championship battle. So yeah, just let them go and let them sort of have their own battle, and yeah, did my own thing. But definitely looking forward to season 2.
Good, and we're very much looking forward to hopefully have you for the for these extended rounds as well. But no, really, really good fun. Again, thoroughly enjoyed watching that, and I'm looking forward to being able to catch up with you, hopefully as well, in a not too far down the line. Chris, thank you very much again. Very well done on that win, and yeah, catch up with you in the next season.
Cheers, thanks very much, and just thanks to you for the commentary, as well as to the guys from Refined Racing for putting on the fun league.
Absolutely, very, very true, and thank you very much for the kind words.
Cool, cheers, man.
Okay, Chris. And there we go. That is it for season number 1 of the Refined Racing League Porsche Cup. A very, very enjoyable series. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I hope you did as well. Like I said, really, really enjoyable, and something that I very much am looking forward to being able to watch later and actually being involved in season 2 as well, because that is something we're already looking at doing. But until next time, everyone, as always, make sure that you follow all of the channels, follow all the media presence to help us get some more recognition here. Again, the more people we have on board for these streams, the better, and the more people we can potentially get in as well. So please do make sure that you keep up with all that is going on, and we look forward to catching up with you again in season 2. But until next time, as always, everyone, take care and stay safe.